I can't talk right now. I'm drinking soup. Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today. With me have some more RPG horror stories. So one night I got really bored and decided, well, if I were to restart my Final Fantasy D&D campaign that I was doing with the Final Fantasy D&D like crossover conversion book, well, how would I go about doing so? Probably I would need some maps. I got sick at some point, which is why there was a break from uploads for a little bit, and I just started playing around with Incarnate to see if I could maybe recreate some of the Final Fantasy 14 maps in-game. Here's some of the maps that I made, like for the city of Ul'dah and some of the areas in Thanalan, which is the deserty south area of Eorzea? Well, Elpis? However you like to call the world. I don't know what to do with them. Maybe I'll actually run a campaign for it, who knows? I've been kind of busy as of late, so I don't know. Anyway, just want to show that. I thought it was pretty neat. Let's get some RPG horror stories for today. Campaign where everyone is crippled from the start, some more than others, the NPC babysitter, and sexy goblins. Nope. About a year ago, I joined a Pathfinder server hoping to find a game like a Mythic Kingmaker campaign. The server felt very active, so I checked out some of the other games being offered. I saw someone was planning to run a World War I style fantasy game, and I showed my interest in joining. It was already full, but the dungeon master, let's call him Red, noticed and mentioned he had another game trying to get started and asked if I wanted to join. I said yes. The main plot is that the party had been summoned by a demigod of mercy working under one of the main gods in the Pathfinder world. Each of us had a sin from our past, and we were seeking to atone for it by completing a quest. I rolled up a human gunslinger / holy gun paladin who used to be a bandit and slaver. After meeting the love of his life, he retired, got married, and tried to turn over a new leaf. But the past comes back. An ex-slave finds and kills his family. Now he's trying to atone, praying for guidance, which comes in form of magic gun and a list of sinners. The DM approved my character sheet and backstory and provided consent form during session 0, which went smoothly. Sounds great. Let's see if you spot the red flags as I did. I'm thinking it's probably gonna be, I'm just taking a shot in the dark, but I think it's gonna be about being an ex-slave and a sinner. So they're probably gonna put some more slave stuff onto you and probably make you do more sinning things against your god and deity using the gun for sin. I don't know, that's just my guess, honestly. The first session involved me and 4 other players from a usual group. A monk fighter, a half-elf alchemist, a goblin oracle, and a dwarf wizard. Each of us was introduced individually entering the city where the demigod was waiting. There was a small combat encounter with simple bandits or thieves. When it was my turn, I faced Nose threatening a girl. She begged me to help her get over the wall in an alleyway we were in as the Nose were going to violate me. I did then mention the temple before putting an X card on the table, and that was on my line list. Red said he misphrased and I was trying to imply the Gnolls would turn her into a monster from the mother of monsters. That kind of violation. I warned the Gnolls not to try, but they laughed at me and seemed to intend on murdering me too. I pulled out my magic gun. Since we were around level 9, I used multi-attack, range smite, and dead shot. Within 2 rounds, all the Gnolls were dead. We then arrived at the temple where the demigods spoke in behalf of the gods, informing us that a powerful entity of sin had broken free from the underworld and needed to be stopped. Angels are ineffective, so they actively thrown people seeking atonement into it. Before we could really interact as a group, we were told to go into a confession booth to be assigned the Trial of Atonement. When completed, we would be freed of all guilt and be able to choose our afterlife. If we failed, our characters would be stuck in limbo forever. One by one, we each went to a private Discord channel, and all came out mostly unchanged. Dwarf Wizard was much smaller than when we started. When it was my turn, he asked for my confession, referenced my backstory, and told me I was a liar for not revealing my real sin. Shaylin had taken note that I have gunned down criminals who had become great artists, thereby bringing beauty and peace to the world. What? Wait, hold on. What? So are we supposed to just basically blame somebody like, oh, you committed a sin. This criminal that you killed that was trying to rob this family of 7? I don't know why 7, let's just go with it. Family of 7 blind and brained the mother? He was going to be a great artist and change the world. What? What kind of a rationale is that? That Noel over there that's about to corrupt the girl? He was going to save the world by fighting the evil BBG, and you killed him. How dare you do that, you sinner? What? Are we supposed to just excuse criminal action? And especially as a paladin is trying to atone for those sins and kind of, paladin being stereotypical paladin, like, maybe I should protect people and do my paladin duty to protect the innocent and stuff. Wow, little Jimmy down the street got attacked by Brad the a-hole, the drunk a-hole at the bar, at the local saloon or whatever. I don't know what to call it at this point. Which probably would take Brad to jail for assaulting little Timmy or Jimmy or whatever I used. I don't know what name I used. How dare you? You committed the greatest sin sin. That drunk that attacked that kid was supposed to be the life savior. He's supposed to be a reincarnation of the great deities and beyond, and you jailed him. Now he will never realize and manifest his destiny. You are wrong because of that. What kind of a weird fucking premise is that, dude? That is so stupid. That is beyond dumb. It's like the butterfly effect, except everything is stupid. Oh, you killed a giant rat. That rat was supposed to infect a BBG and give him syphilis or syphilades. I don't know. One day you're killing a giant rat. Next day you find out, oh, that giant rat was supposed to live for about 300,000 years because it was secretly a demon in disguise, supposed to bite the BBG on the toe, give him syphilades, and they're supposed to die a painful death. But because of that didn't happen, now the world is doomed. Congratulations. It's just stupid. It's just dumb as hell. I really dislike the premise that the DM is trying to pull through. Not trying hard enough to talk down the nose and go into violence. I also killed the girl, as the wall I helped her jump over, due to rocky terrain and building being stacked on top of each other. The girl went over the wall and dropped 8 stories into an open sewer, where the woman broke every single bone in her body and drowned. So my task was to complete the mission without ranging weapons at all, on top of withdrawing his faith to normal paladin level. My character's pointer and middle finger were removed to avoid temptation. In addition, the ghost of the girl was following me for the rest of the game. This is absurd. After the one-on-ones, Demigod told the party that the cult dedicated to the entity of sin was just a few villages away and then set out. The game quickly ended with a former gunslinger paladin asking what tasks they were assigned, only for the demigod to suddenly appear and tell everyone that the tasks are secret and will lead to damnation if someone finds out each other's, before announcing that the demigod will be part of the party, so no one breaks the rules of the gods. I bet you what happened is that the GM regrets giving the paladin the gun because it probably does more damage, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna have to take away your gun through this weird punishment game. Yeah, and we're gonna try to pull in these random charges on your character because apparently you committed a sin. You helped get Timmy out of the well, and then Timmy got run over by a carriage, stopping a family from saving yet more lives at a hospital and stuff. You sinner, how dare you? It's like butterfly effect to the stupidest degree possible, dude. It is so dumb. Jim, if you just didn't want the paladin to have a gun, you could just be like, hey, no guns. You just come up with a different sin for the player. Messaged GM to talk and said he has time in a few days, which I used to talk to the other players. I have to do some convincing to discuss the holy tasks, as from the wording of the DM, it was only in-game. Each player received a lighter penalty. The alchemist for being an alcoholic and ignoring his family until the left and died on the road by flood. He can't drink alcohol at all. No, it doesn't affect his mutagens, bombs, and spells. The Oracle, for being too indecisive with his duties and causing the death of his clan, will have the curse or boons randomized every session. Wizard got expelled from school for fireballing his whole class, so he's now small sized to fit the short temper. The Fighter Monk was interesting, as a vet of Red's games made a character that was good as improvised combat right from the start. He explained how he did well enough in the combat test part of the intro, and using Demigod Confession baited the DM into making his task that he can't use proper weapons, excluding monks, as most of them are technically farm tools. He told me Red was always scared of combat min-maxers and would nerf them to the ground when spotted. He suggested that I just get my character killed somehow and take the 2 to 3 level penalty to create a new one. So the DM purposely basically gives you this cool gun to use and then nerfs you because you like to use it because they don't like min-maxers and stuff, even though they clearly themselves gave you the gun to use and range smite. I don't know if range smite is a thing in Pathfinder, but this is absolutely stupid. You give the player the cool thing and then say, no, you can't use the cool thing. Wow, GDM, wow, this is actually super fun. Wowee, fun. During my one-on-ones with the DM, I initiated a discussion about a cross line involving Knowles wanting to perform sexual assault on a girl. Red apologized that it felt uncomfortable and mentioned that the consent sheets averaged out to yellow on that topic. I clarified this isn't how the line of veil sheets should work, and that kind of content wouldn't be acceptable for me, and shared that I'm ace like I did during session 0. Red responded by saying the campaign would include dark themes of sin, including sexual ones, and warned that if I had to use the X card often, it might not be the right campaign for me. I have mixed feelings about using X cards and stuff in games. Like, if some things come up, I think you should be able to have an adult conversation with the DM one-on-one. Like, let's say, I don't know, you're a DM and you're running some sort of like a horror mystery gore fest for one of your players, and turns out one of your players is squeamish about like mutilation and like delimbing and stuff like that, right? They have like a phobia of that. Maybe don't run them, maybe find a different story or find a way to describe such acts without going extreme into detail about things that are going on. I don't know, or maybe make some other wounds and injuries that don't have some sort of disembowelment or like limb displacement and stuff like that, if that makes any sense. But if you're gonna implement the use of X cards and you tell to the player, if you're gonna be using X cards often, this might not be a game for you, then what's the point of implementing X cards in the first place? Tell the player early on, hey, if this kind of themes are not for you, you probably shouldn't play in this game, period. Let them know ahead of time so they can make a sound decision to stay in the game or not, or look for a different game that fits the criteria more. Implementing the X cards only to say if you're going to be using X cards, you probably shouldn't stay here in general, that sounds stupid to me. Either use the X cards and adhere to them, or don't use them at all. Simple as that. What's the point of having X cards be implemented if the players actually utilize the X card is saying maybe you should probably leave? That is dumb. Either have them or don't have them. Use them or don't use them. But decide on one and stay consistent instead of flip-flopping back and forth. I raised concern about my character being nerfed, effectively rendering an NPC without character levels. Red explained that the campaign focuses on role-playing with light combat and implied that any issues were due to my min-maxing. When I questioned whether he reviewed my character sheet or background before approved, he admitted he hadn't, due to being late with game prep for another game. He then offered me the option to create a new character 3 levels below the party, which I found too harsh and suggested a milder penalty similar to what other players experienced. Red felt it was inappropriate to discuss such matters behind his back and implied the campaign might not be suitable for me if I continued acting in this matter. So apparently, you can't just have the penance or your punishment be changed for whatever stupid reason, because suddenly the DM decided you're a mid-maxer, even though they approved the gun for you. They gave you everything you asked for, and they're like, yeah, go out and do some divine smites from range with your super pew-pew gun. And then when you use the super pew-pew gun, they go, oh, you can't use that. That's mid-maxing. You're not to use the thing that I gave you. Dumb as hell. If you don't want the player to use something, don't give it to them. Just don't give it to them. Just don't let them use the thing that you think is overpowered. Balance it ahead of time. Or hey, how about you have a conversation with the player? Say, yo, Jim Bob. Let's assume the OP's name is Jim Bob. Jim Bob, listen, that gun that you fired, man, that was actually really strong. How about we nerf it a little bit just to keep it, just to keep it balanced, because the other players are literally going to be like trying to keep up really badly with you and just not give it worth it. How about we just nerf the gun a little bit? Hey, maybe one of the curses is the gun is slightly less powerful just to keep it normal and sensible. Maybe the worry about it is that maybe it's balanced for higher levels but not lower levels. Making a new character with 3-level penalty is stupid as hell. That's completely dumb. Just make a new character if the problem is the character themselves or the build they're playing, and just make him same level as the party. What is the point to have a 3-level penalty? That is dumb as hell. The only thing that's gonna do is hurt the player, make it more difficult for them to play as the character, making them constantly play catch up, and that's gonna also hurt the party, because suddenly instead of having a high level paladin, or let's say, I don't know, a level 6 paladin, now they have a level 3 paladin that may be useful in some situations, but probably not a lot. This DM sucks, man. This DM sucks. Later that day, I received a Discord message from a player of the World War I game warning me about its railroaded structure, poorly balanced encounters, and hyper-sexualized goblin DNPCs. I shared this with the group and decided I was no longer interested in participating in the game either, also taking the opportunity to advise on proper safety tool usage. In response, Red insulted me after deleting the screenshots. "Screw you, sex negative, insert brat," was all I had to read before I blocked him mid-rant, left the server, and reported that behavior. Sex negative brat. Funny that the DM doesn't listen to any kind of criticism whatsoever. He just can spout nonsense back. Screw you, you sex negative brat. I'm allowed to have my fetishism forced on players. I'm allowed to have sexy goblins. Listen, you can have sexy goblins if you want to, but if you're gonna be treating players like this, yeah, you deserve some pot shots thrown over to you. This, and legit, like, this isn't even like pot shots necessarily. OP is offering genuine criticism. Like, if you're not gonna use the X tools, just don't have the X tools be a thing. Simple as that. If you're not gonna actually utilize them, what's the point of having them in a game? If you're gonna say, like, if you're gonna be using the X tools too much, we're gonna have to remove you from the game. It may not be the game for you. You either have it or you don't. But honestly, OP, I think you did yourself a service. No D&D is better than bad D&D, and definitely not this game or Pathfinder. You know what I mean. Let's get to the next story for today. Our D&D group had to remove a player because of alcohol. I, 27 male, play D&D with a group of friends once or twice a month. For almost a year, it's been a highlight for us, until one member, let's call him Mike, 29 male, started causing more problems than fun. From the start, we suspected he wasn't really into the game itself. He never brought dice, trays, or even his own mini. We had to go those for him. He was constantly glued to his phone during combat, roleplay, and group decisions. Same behavior outside of the game too, like bar nights, dinners, and even his own birthday, where he just scrolled his phone while we were all hanging out. The first big aha moment was during one session. He took a massive damage in combat. When asked his HP, he stalled, got defensive, and finally admitted he had written a giant question mark on his character sheet instead of tracking it. Vince, 29M, or DM, recalculated it for him and found he had exactly 1 HP left. When his turn came, he was still scrolling his phone, and I finally snapped with me yelling to him to put the damn phone down. He rolled without even knowing what for. He was a cleric and could have healed himself. Instead of he attacked the enemy as if he didn't even seem aware of his own abilities. This was when we realized he wasn't engaged. He was just there. Have you considered having a talk with the guy at this point? I hope you guys had a talk with him. I know I'm kind of jumping in early in the story, but if somebody's been that unattentive about anything they're doing, I feel like there might be a couple of things, and the only one thing I can really think of off the top of my head is the dopamine overload. Sometimes people are just constantly on the phone all the time and don't engage with everything going on around them, hanging out with people, even for their bird and not even be able to just look at your friends and buddies and hang out with you, because they're just scrolling through stuff because everything is so mundane and boring to the point where I feel like they just have like a dopamine overload, and the only thing they can do is just keep doom scrolling on the phone until they find something mildly interesting just to keep going, because they just kind of got used to this cycle basically. They're not engaged, they're not involved. If somebody's not engaged in a TTRPG that you're playing, or really anything they're doing, what is the point of them being there if they're not actively present for it? Like, TTRPG is supposed to be a fun hobby you can have a fun, engaging time with everybody. Like, obviously, like, sometimes I will pull up Twitter here and there on occasion, like during breaks and stuff for our D&D games, but I'm never just doom scrolling on Twitter, just being distracted from everything. I'm paying attention, trying to be engaged, trying to interact with everything I possibly can, and enjoying the time and company that I have over at our virtual table. But if this guy's just not good engaged whatsoever, what's the point of having him there? Ask him to leave and move on from there. Now here's where the alcohol enters the picture. I like mixing cocktails, so started bringing recipes and ingredients to sessions as a fun side thing. But to avoid anyone getting sloppy at my parents' house where I host, I set 2-drink rule. First time I explained this, Mike again was just on his phone, looking like he wasn't paying attention. Asked another friend in our group, William, 30 male, to repeat the rule to Mike. Mike snapped at William, yelling, "I freaking heard you in the first time, I'm not deaf," just because William repeated it for him. That should have been a red flag, but we brushed it off. Next session was another group member and friend Cam, 27 male's house. Mike kept bugging me for drinks I couldn't make with limited ingredients since it wasn't at my parents' house. He had too many anyway, grabbed one of Ray's, 27 male, my brother's beers without asking, and only stopped when I called him out. He got defensive, saying he knew his limits and wasn't as reckless as he used to be. Spoiler, that was a lie. If somebody's telling you they're not as reckless as they used to be, I feel like then Mike has a alcoholism problem, or maybe nothing seems interesting to him unless they have alcohol intake, and basically they're just doom scrolling because they got nothing else going on because they're an alcoholic. I feel like Mike has a problem. I feel like there's more stuff going on behind the scenes, and this should be a clear red flag that Mike needs to be cut off from alcohol completely. I actually know somebody from the VR community that basically is fine and decent, but as soon as they drink, they become the worst kind of person. They start fights with everybody, and everything is horrible and drab and miserable, and everybody sucks, and they have to blame everybody but themselves about everything in the world, to the point where they start dipping out of Discord servers and basically cutting off ties and unfriending people on Discord and stuff that they met, only to come back like a day later and be like, "Hey, can you add me back to the Discord? Hey, can you friend me back on Discord?" And no matter how many times you talk to the person, they literally never have that aha moment, never have that wake-up call of, "Oh, people don't want to be around me now that I'm like a complete belligerent alcoholic," whenever I go drinking to the point where I become toxic and stuff. And that at some point is gonna hit. It's gonna hit hard like a truck, dude. It's just not good. It's not okay. Alcoholism is scary, but people that have problem with it, they need help badly. If somebody has, like, I don't know if I need to even say it on here, I doubt we have a lot of alcoholics on this channel, but if somebody's watching and you know somebody that has problem with alcohol, you need to tell them to get help, for real. Then you should try to get some help and try to make some sort of initiative to try to get himself out of this rut. At the following session, now back in my place, I went all out. Made a themed cocktail menu, even brought a blacklight board to display it. I put so much effort into the idea and I was thrilled to show it off to everyone. Before everyone started showing up early that afternoon, Mike had asked me if I could bring a case of high noons for the group, which I said yes, not knowing what would happen that night. Before I even announced the bar was open, he cracked one open during dinner. Then he and William proceeded to down the entire case, leaving my drink sidelined. Mike even tried to double fist with a high noon while I served him cocktail, so I took it away from him and put it back in the fridge. Later next morning, he texted me saying, "Thanks for looking out for me, but can you stop treating me like I'm in pre-K?" Basically implying that trying to keep him from over drinking at my parents' house was me treating him like a child. When I talked to William about them drinking the high noons instead of my drinks, he apologized for following Mike's lead and also explained that he didn't want to be annoying like Mike, asking me to make him a drink every 10 minutes. It didn't make sense to me and I accepted his apology. But when William told Mike why I was upset, Mike dismissed my feelings with him saying, "Why didn't he just say something? He's wasting everyone's time. I didn't do anything wrong." He framed it like the problem was my lack of directness, not his behavior. We noticed a pattern where he is deflected, projects, or shifts blame anytime you brought up the issue. It was like talking to a brick wall. So he implemented a new rule, that being the whoever the host decides if alcohol is allowed. Vince's turn to host came next, and he announced it would be a dry session. something his parents had to say. I had a stepdad. He passed away, I think maybe about a year ago. He wasn't a good man, so like nobody like, don't have to feel bad for me in the comments, but he had a massive alcoholism problem, and he would do the same thing. It was everybody else's fault. It was never himself. It was never his drinking. It was mainly just everybody else's fault but his. And as long as he got his booze and was happy, then he's good. But as soon as he became like boozed up, he became absolutely belligerent and the worst kind of person in the entire, like in all reality. Yeah, alcoholism is scary, guys. It is not good. It ruins people. Mike lost it. Hours before, he texted me complaining that it would ruin the vibe. Then said when he picked me up, we would pregame with drinks and weed. I didn't respond to these messages, so I told Cam about them and he said that he'll come pick me up instead. In hindsight, this would be a better idea. Cam picked me up and we arrived along with everyone else, time as we had an 8 p.m. start time. Except Mike. As we were waiting for him to show up, me and the rest of the group voiced our frustrations on Mike and talked about removing him from the group. Since he was late, this would be Mike's first strike from Vince, as now Mike is on thin ice with 2 more to go. Eventually Mike did show up 2 hours later. Mike came to the house and he was reeking of weed and immediately sat down scrolling his phone. Less than 45 minutes later, he went outside to grab something from his car. William followed him and found him smoking a joint. Strike 2. Minutes later, Mike texted William that he was going to a gas station for water. Came back with a 24-ounce Happy Dad and tried drinking it in the driveway. William confiscated it and brought it inside. That was strike 3. We voted then and there to remove him from the group. As it wasn't for Mike's disrespectful showing in Vince's house, that would have been more than enough for his removal. Vince confronted Mike to let him know about his removal, backed up by his dad, who told Mike that if he couldn't respect house rules, he wasn't welcome back. Vincent told Mike to leave, but he refused to let him drive because of his obvious condition, so he called a lift. He resisted, saying he was sober enough to drive, wanted to prove it by driving around the block, but we all suspected he just wanted another excuse to leave for more booze. After some arguing, he finally got in the lift. And all this happened before we even started the campaign. But after Mike left, we all calmed down and started the campaign with no further issues. Knights pretty much confirmed our suspicion that Mike only came for the session only because he knew there would be alcohol. Next day, we removed him from the group chat as well. Kudos on you guys to actually try to be responsible about this and try to do this reasonably. You didn't just leave him high and dry somewhere in the middle of nowhere, probably drinking or driving or something. I don't know. You guys got him everything. Got him a lift, convinced him to not drive and everything. You guys are goated as a group, and I wish you nothing but the very best. Mike, get some help. Get some serious help. Your alcoholism is gonna ruin your life. Like, actually, unironically. Did Shorty be old enough to know that his alcoholism is literally gonna kill him at some point and gonna ruin his life? And if he's gonna continue this track, he's just gonna be gone forever. Like, not physically, but maybe he might be like mentally gone, emotionally gone, just in general. The person that he is now, he's never going to be again if he continues down the path of alcoholism. And at some point, maybe that the high alcohol blood level may eventually end up killing him. Who knows? Anyway, I'm gonna end the story here for today, and we're just gonna move on by wrapping up the video. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.